morning, viewers. This is Ashok Subramanian here from Literati channel. For starters, Literati is a new literature channel focused on bringing together various personalities and stakeholders in literature to its audience. As a part of this show, we have a series called Making of the Book. Today, as part of Making of the Book, we have here Miss Sakshi Arora, in Masters of Art in Literature, in English language, a verbal communication trainer, and also, most importantly, a poet and a published author of a book, I Sling My Poetry Words. Welcome, Sakshi, to this show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for connecting. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So today we are going to look at your journey as a poet and a published author. What's the feeling? How are you feeling?
I feel I'm in a heaven, you see, because it's my first book, and publishing a first book is so much for you. As an author, as a poet, it is so much, because it takes so much of you writing, and then a journey from being an amateur to a published and a professional poet. So it is amazing. I'm learning so much.
Oh, great. Can you talk more about your personality in terms of what made you a poet in the first place?
My personality. Okay, first of all, thing is I'm outspoken. I'm plain spoken. I believe in the art of communication. Being a communication trainer, I believe in the art of communication, and I feel it makes you strong. Making relations, talking to people, it makes you strong. And that is why I love poetry, because poetry is the best mode of communication. You can communicate your thoughts in the best way. So, and I'm a learner. I'm a quick learner. I'm an observer. I learn things from life, and poetry makes me learn things in a better way. So that is poetry for me. And I want to share an experience from my childhood. How I started with my poems. It's like when I was back in school, I was a very poetic person. You know, I talk in poems, I walk in poems. It's like whenever I used to be in my school and there was some competition or poetry elocution or something, then people used to call me, because, you know, I feel that reciting is also very important as writing is. So from reciting to being a poet, so I became used to poems so much from that time only. So poetry became my life.
Right. Can you talk about your education and how you started your journey towards publishing this book? How this all added up together?
Okay, my journey is like I was into English from the very childhood, like studying in a convent school and then growing up. So English became a part of me, you know. And I took up masters in English literature. I studied literature. So studying literature, I think it made me a poet, because if you do not read, I do not think you can write. So reading multiple books, I started writing because I had to just, spill my thoughts, my emotions over the paper. But how I became professional, it is only because of reading. Reading so many maestros and the great authors, writers, made me realize that what actually being a professional writer is. You can write anything, but if you want to be a professional, then you need to learn, how you have to write. So that's the thing.
And talk about your influences in English literature. What do you like in terms of genre, in terms of, say, an established poet or an author?
Poetry is itself a genre, of course. One thing is. Then another thing is, if you come to fiction and you come to poetry, there are two different things. And Genres are also different. If you come talk about fiction, because I also read fiction a lot. So if you talk about fiction, then yes, I like romantic thrillers, I like psychological thrillers, I like fantasies, tragedies. But yet, if you talk about poetry, then poetry has different genres, and that is lyrical poems and epics and so on. Lyrical poems and epics and narratives and descriptives, and for me, and then the subgenres. And but for me, poetry is just the spontaneous overflow of powerful feeling that was said by Wordsworth.
Okay.
So poetry is for me. I just write my heart out. Whatever I feel, I just write. So there are so many themes in my poetry book.
Right. Right.
Like anything.
Right. The way you write, talk about your style in terms of how you conceive a poem, how do you put it together, okay, and is it a momentous decision to write a poem, or you think through? Do you have scrapbooks? How do you write poems?
As I already told you, they are the spontaneous thoughts. I do not think before writing. I have to write on this topic, and I'll sit and then I'll write. No, nothing happens. Things just go in my mind, you see, and I just write it down on a piece of paper, right? And I use my phone also. Okay, sometimes I don't use my pen and I use my phone and I direct write, because typing has become a part of our life. So I just directly type, something goes in my head and so I'll start typing and something like that. And writing, and then editing. Of course, you have to do editing on a paper itself. So it's like that. And how I started, as I already told you, I started being an amateur. That is, I started just writing my heart out. And from writing my heart out, I started using metaphors and symbols, because reading made me what I am. So there are my favorite writers from the Romantic age, and they are like Wordsworth, John Keats, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, and Robert Burns. And reading them made me realize that what poems actually is. And yes, but I try romanticizing the sun, the light, the moon in my love poems, which say more than I love you. So it's like this. I try to write about the contemporary topics, but still I try to give them a romantic touch. Romantic touch in the sense, not the romance, but it means the romantic age, which was of the 19th century, early 19th century. But yet, if you talk about the contemporary poems, there are few writers of the 19th and 20th century whom I really love, and they are like Pablo Neruda, because he writes about love poems. And if you talk about your hope and enthusiasm and feministic poetry, so Maya Angelou is my favorite Afro-American writer. She inspires me a lot. And then my favorite is, I have so many writers to talk about. My favorite is Emily Dickinson. I just love Emily Dickinson writing. And so reading and writing them, infused something out of me, and I started writing. And so it was a wonderful journey, though it's difficult, but it is wonderful.
So how long have you been writing poems?
I have been writing since long time, like since my school age, but I have been writing writing my heart out and telling but from 2 years I found that my poetry is being matured, because it matures, and whatever I'm writing today, what I write after 10 years, they will be a complete different set, you see, because poems mature. You read and you write and it mature, your thinking mature, your ideas mature. So that's what I feel. It's just maturing, and it will mature in times to come.
Right. How did you conceptualize Aisling, and what does Aisling mean?
Aisling is an Irish word. Irish poetic genre that started in the early 17th and 18th century in the Irish poetic genre, and it translates to dream or vision. And why I chose this word, because it was my dream to connect to my readers, to create an emotional response in my readers. Poetry is just about this. It is not just the beautiful verses you read and you write and you forget. No, it leaves fingerprints and footprints on your heart. And so poetry, you have to connect to your readers. If my readers cannot connect with my words, then there is no use of writing. So this is my dream, to connect to my readers vividly. So that's what Ashling is, and it's my dream, and I am on this path.
Great. Now, when did it exactly happen in terms of you trying to put this together in a book?
It took me 2 years of writing Ashling, and then after that I thought of compiling it. When I really thought that yes, it would help. My poems are mature enough that I can compile them into a poetry book, and then I went for publishing. No, I didn't rush into publishing. I'm writing few poems and then go and just publish it. No, because when I thought that yes, now I have a complete set which can create an emotional response in my readers, then I just go for publishing.
So, talk about your publishing experience.
Publishing, you learn so many things when you get into publishing. Earlier, I thought that writer is only a writer, but after publishing my book, I came to know that writer is a marketer, an editor, and everything in a single person. Okay, so this is the thing that I really learned, and I'm still learning. That you don't only have to write; you have to do so many other things than writing. And I think this is the thing when you enter into any industry. Maybe this is also an industry, publishing industry. You learn so many things, and that the journey is hard, still it is beautiful, and that's what I've learned.
Mm-hmm. And any specific anecdotes from your publishing experience? Anything that you want to share with our viewers?
Nothing as such. I'm just learning, because I believe in giving something and taking something from the writing community to strengthening writing community, and that's what I am learning from the people, and they are giving me something and I am learning something from them, and that it is all about.
Okay. And can you talk about what should the reader expect in Aisling, and what is your message to the reader through your book?
Okay, so if they are broken, Ashling is a hope. If they are trampled, Ashling is something which can keep them to their faith. They can hold on to their faith. And sometimes it talks about the plight of the women, and sometimes it talks about the love. Sometimes it talks about what love is, what actually love is. And sometimes it talks about how you should never leave your dreams. You should always stick to them. And sometimes it talks about beautiful things, sometimes it talks about ugly things. So there are many concepts. So Ashling is a collection of 40 poems which talks on love, life, hope, wisdom, longing, desire, plight of the women, and many other things. Many crucial contemporary topics I tried to pick and write. And it is about 110 pages, because it's a poetry book, and 40 poems, and after every poem I try to put my own views, that what the poem is all about, so that I can connect to my readers in a better way. Because if they read poems, they can know that actually what I thought and why I'm writing this poem. So my views I have given, and in my poems you'll find so many references from the great poets, and I have also mentioned them as a footnote. So you'll have multiple look backs. Okay, when you will read my poem, it's not only you are reading my poem. There is my flavor, my art, but you will find something that I have given references and inspirations from the great poets, from the great maestros. And I have also given mentioned it as the footnote, the references and the inspirations that who inspired me to write these poems and everything. So it's a piece of a literature if you really talk in a general
That,
sense.
that's great, Sakshi. I think that's a different level of reading to go behind the poem itself to understand the thought process of the poet. So uh, we were talking about the backstory and the poet's view that is behind the poem. It's good to go behind the poem and get a view and a more, it's more like a corollary, but it also gives a deeper meaning to the poem itself.
And for adding another deeper meaning, I have used illustrations in my poetry book, and the illustrations are whatever the poem is saying. The illustration is just, graphically drawn thing of just what the poet wants to say, and it is so personalized. I really want to say it is so personalized. So just after looking that, you can have the imprint of the poem. So I just try to connect to my readers in a better way. If not through poems, they can read my views. If not through views, they can go through the illustration. They can see the picture illustration. They can connect through the pictures. So I tried to connect because this was my dream that my readers should connect, and I did everything with which they can connect to me. That's all.
Yeah. So why don't you open the book for us? Okay. From your book, a poem that you want to read out to our audience.
I'll read the poem. I love it personally, and the title is Deceiving the World. I am like the bristly wind, cold, ceaseless, unstoppable, unflinching. Something in me you can never take away. That ferocious spirit, too wild to be tamed. Fiery eyes that can burn into your bosom's core. Furious heart, too old to love. Am I really harsh or just pretentious? Covering my thoughts with a red scarf. Underneath the scarf, I know who I am. Only if you unfold that scarf, you'll realize. I too melt if you touch the right chord. The tender touch can warm my heart. These eyes have hidden deep emotions. Once loved, it can be spilled around your body.
Wow.
In well, I exist with my heart full of kindness, making the weeping willow smile. I'm still that gentle soul once tried to heal the trampled flowers. That soft heart once deceived, pierced, and perforated. World made me go deceitful, put on this rough attire. A pang of pain made me so bleak, bitter, and cold. Thank you. I
Awesome.
hope you like it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That was an awesome talk.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Can you walk us through the background of this wonderful poem for our audience?
The poem says that there happened something in the life of speaker which made her so cold and so, the rough attire she is having. She's speaking so rude, so wild, and she is untamable. You cannot tame her. You cannot. She is unflinching because she is soft at heart, but the world made her go so cold. So it's all about that. She's having a red scarf, and underneath the scarf, she knows who she is, but she's trying to pretend. because first of all, she says these things that she's unflinching and she's so strong, and then she says that am I really this or am I pretentious? Because or having a red scarf and the scarf underneath the scarf, she knows who she is because the world has made her so. So it's all about this, and I have tried to put my views as my views. My views are different set of heading, and why I'm saying so, why the speaker wants to say so, because speaker and Sakshi, two different things, two different persons. I really think that there is an object through which the speaker says, even if her or his own feelings, but for me there are two different personalities.
The narrative could be different.
Exactly. It's not necessary what I feel the same thing my speaker, my character is speaking. It's really not. People think so that they are two different same thing, and somewhere they can be. That is why poetry is so difficult to understand. You cannot say. Sometimes it may be that I am putting it in my feelings. Sometimes I may not. It's not necessary that if the Shakespeare is saying something, then he is Shakespeare. Okay, the character is the character. Character is not Shakespeare. Shakespeare is not like that. But he just tried to put his imagination, it is thoughts, and sometimes it may be what I am saying. It is not. So it is totally a suspense that what Sakshi is and what the speaker is.
Sometimes it is subtle, sometimes it's obvious.
Sometimes it's all complex. It's all about that. And yes, this line, burn into your Boston score. This Edgar Allan Poe used it in the poem The Raven. And I have used as a footnote that Edgar Allan Poe has used this and this word so that you can have a look back. If you are reading my poem, there are multiple reveries, multiple look back. You have to do that. So because even if I read some fiction and if I get some, a very attractive or a very good thing which appeals me, I try to write something with that. And if I'm writing something with that, then it's so good for me, and you should do. I write it as a footnote that yes. So my book is literature in itself. You will go through so many poems and so many fictions if you are going through my poems. So it's like
right. Wonderful. And how's the book launch going, Sakshi?
It's going great. It's live now, live on Amazon, the paperback as well as the Kindle edition. So I am very excited. Let's see. I hope it hits the market.
Wonderful. All the best for your launch.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing multiple aspects of the book and you as a poet. And I look forward to connect with you again in the next edition where we will explore more of you and your poems. And wishing you all the best from Literati.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to connect you. Thank you.
Thank you.